Well, hi, friends, family. Hi, loved ones. Hi, fools. Hi, gardeners. Hi, magicians. How y'all doing? Hanging in there and creating good things, choosing good things, and claiming good things. Claiming all your love for your whole being. I hope so, and I encourage that. Yeah, I wish all that for you. Yeah, just doing my thing, and there's so much coming through, and just being in the moment as best I'm able to, and allowing like all that wants to come in come forth and through. And so I do have a lot to review, and there are so many things that have come up in the last 2 days. It's just incredible, like the continuous stream and their potency and the receptivity. Yeah, receiving like all I need for me, for my well-being and my prosperity and my growth and my transformation, to support and care for me. So last time talked about completion, and I shared a little bit from the Sacred Art of Listening by Kay Lindahl, and the last exercise, number 40, was listening beyond the past. So sometimes being complete is as simple as saying so. And it's just like, yeah, I love simplicity, and it can be that simple. You know, we're a work in progress, a masterpiece in progress. And yeah, that masterpiece and that work in progress simultaneously. So, yeah, to be loved and to love simultaneously, the dual nature and fertility. Yeah, active and receptive, and all the possibilities. So, there is a lot of fertility themes coming up. I shared a couple that were coming up from my dreams through the last week, and I've been paying attention, and I did have like an amazing dream on the 21st, or between the 21st and 22nd. That was like amazing, and it, very much confirming certain things at play and in my space, and yeah, what I'm working with and playing with and inviting, and neutralizing, alchemizing, transmuting. It all relates. And so I'll start with that and then go from there with some questions, and also some continuation with the 4 survival archetypes of the child, the victim, the whore, and the saboteur. Because there's so much about that going on. And like with the survival strategies and our relationship to power, and valuing or reevaluating our own worth, knowing our own worth, claiming our own worth, seeing our own worth, and honoring our own worth. And also like the different stages of transformation and growth and initiation. I wanted to go into the second stage of the handless maiden, the dismemberment, and that's coming up, and that is so cool. So like with the astrology and the full moon that's coming up this week in Scorpio, it reveals what is hidden or what's been hidden as the secrets coming out and the revelations as well. And it is interesting, like I was nudged to go back and look at what was going on in June last year, June and July, and I reviewed some of my journals from last year, and I had so much fun, and I was like, oh my god, this is just gold here. This is gold right here. And it was just like, wow, it's like kind of new layers, or uncovering uncovering like new layers of that, which was started or initiated last June. And so going back into those themes and stuff, and it's just so cool, like how it all ties together. And so full. Embrace that full, yeah. And just the adventure of this unfolding and this revealing and this becoming, this discovery of remembering and becoming all we are. Yeah, remembering, discovering, being, loving all we are, knowing all we are. Yeah. So, yes, there's this dream that I had, and I wrote this on the 22nd yesterday. And so there was like certain things coming up on the 20th and the 21st. And so there were certain messages like return to rightful sender, return to original owner, like seemed like those kinds of transmissions. So return to original owner, return to rightful sender, return to rightful place, reclaimed. And so I was feeling the nudge to choose this yesterday, so I did recall, and I just like got that message, and I was just like, okay, that sounds like a good idea. I'll do that. Like, I now recall all of the parts of me that I unknowingly or knowingly gave away. And I ask that they be returned to me. I call them back to me. I invite them back home to be with me, to come back home, and to be integrated and honored and, fully realized and accepted and protected. It was just like, all right, like all the parts I ever gave away because of ignorance or like some old belief that I had to, or that I needed to give that to receive something, for my own self, to get my own needs met. Like, I gratefully recall all those parts back to me. And I also send back any parts of any other any parts that do not belong to me, that were given to me. I now return those and give them back and offer them back and send them back to their rightful owner, the original owner, the rightful sender, the original place, to where they belong. And so like immediately it was just like, oh, that feels better and that feels good and that feels true. So okay, like yay. And then just moved on to something else, But yeah, I'll just share this little bit. And then this dream that I had, and it was really awesome because it has to do with tests and being tested. And I did share like that little story from Sacred Contracts that Caroline Mace kind of summarized about the archetypal themes in The Wizard of Oz. And the characters and the symbols and like the heart, the mind, and the will, and the child, and the spiritual maturity, and coming back home again. Going on her hero's journey and then returning home. So it was really cool. So I was feeling the nudge to choose this. And so I did recall all the parts of me that I had ever given away to any lover, other, or friend, or Tom, Dick, and Harry type of trick game. However, I may have hoarded myself away. And I also gave or offered back all parts of any other that did not belong to me, returning to rightful owner, original sender, to be reclaimed and honored, appreciated, valued in its entirety, completion. Then I had a very interesting dream this morning. So there was 3 people from my past that I had like maybe some sense of incompletion with, but really I had like worked through certain layers of forgiveness and like just letting go, and it hasn't like really bothered me, but like there was just this one little thing that I guess those people represented certain aspects of myself in certain ways, and so I think that was pretty cool. And then there was a 4th, or an unknown. So like there was like these 3 women and this other female. So it was a strange astral like home, and I was coming to reclaim what was mine. So I came to collect what was, or recollect, collect, reclaim, and reclaim what was rightfully mine and belonged to me. It was like a crystal dish. It was like this amazing, like sparkling vessel, this bowl or container of some kind. And it was sitting on a glass shelf in between like 2 floors or 2 levels of this house. It was like needed to employ other strategies to get through this level that was in between 2 levels, or whatnot. Yeah, it was very interesting the way that it presented itself in like a multi-level home, but it was, yeah, it was like this alternate or yeah, pocket universe or weird dimension that like was hidden in like a, I don't know, it was interesting. So it was like in between two levels of a dream home or an astral home. I know which one was mine. Like I knew exactly what I was looking for and which one was mine, even though it was sitting with like a dozen or so other ones. But I knew like exactly which one was mine. It wasn't because it was like the prettiest one, or I just knew that, yep, that's mine. That's what I came to collect. So there was a dozen or so other on this glass type of a display shelf. But I was met with resistance in all sorts of defenses and trickery, deceit, distractions and games, hostility, and worthy adversaries. I needed to fight or to respond to this challenge appropriately. And I brought something forth from inside of me to help me conquer my fears, my resistance, and my old beliefs that I was not worthy of this power alive within me. I kicked ass, really, in martial arts magic and Wu Wei flow state, effortless action and muscle memory. It was fluid and graceful. It was a soul strategy. And my adversary was surprised how skillful I was and we showed some mutual respect to one another. So it wasn't like hostile, like that part of it. It was like very present and like engaged and like, yeah, in a way like detached from like the emotional. And so there's that to look at. And yeah, so did like after that like fight sequence, like kind of like had that bow, like that mutual respect for like just wow, just meeting each other in that kind of arena or whatnot. So so there was also little tests of attention span and emotional boundaries, self-confidence and loyalty, humility, determination, integrity, and not taking things personally. The dream ended with mutual thanks, well wishes, and acknowledgement for the lessons and the learning through folly, forgiveness, grace, and mistakes. It feels like closure and completion in so many ways. And now I feel like I have reclaimed my inner juiciness that I had given away without realizing I had sold myself short in not recognizing my own value, power, and worth. Yeah, my own energy, my own, yeah, life force to create and to sustain my own life with, you know? So, and in, yeah. So, feeling like this was showing me I am now complete with these lessons and long initiations through certain cycles and stages of emotional and spiritual maturity, returning home to all of me, like, and learning lessons in discernment and neutrality. So there were certain tests that challenged me to let go and trust me, my feelings, senses, inner knowing, guidance, intuition, and responsibilities. To embody myself, to focus, to center, to be clear and present. To embody myself through the truth of my vision, to anchor and hold, broadcast, emit, transmit my decision, my will with precision, direct my will and attention, intention, and chosen directions. So there was ego flattery, fear and intimidation, self-doubt programming at play, deception, trickery, and manipulation. So also a martial arts matrix fight type of sequence and a battle of like mental and irrational intelligence, a battle of wits. And so the vessel that I was coming to claim was like red and gold and shimmering, translucent type of a crystal. Yeah, it was a cross between like a chalice and a bowl. Yeah, and I kind of have like a candle holder that's like, yeah, that reminds me of like what it looks like. So it's interesting. So this vessel was red and gold and shimmering translucence, and I knew it was mine to claim and receive. My adversaries tried to trick me, tempt me, and pressure me to leave without my priceless treasure, but I passed all the tests with unseen divine intervention and assistance. It was very interesting indeed, and I do feel a huge relief and a satisfying sense of closure and completion. Have faith, trust in the love that is always here. I am the light and the truth and the resurrection. I am the truth of divine love in action. And then enjoy your life, enjoy yourself, enjoy your love, and live it up. Life is for living, and love is for giving. Joy is for sharing all that we are. Holy divine reunion, we did it. 5 due, new earth, here we are. Awakening and remembering, becoming who we are. Breaking through these old glass ceilings, these old barriers and obstacles, new doors are opening and an old chapter is ending. We are transitioning into a new grand story, beginning again where we are. Crying tears of joy, gratitude, and relief today. Instead of tears of sadness and sorrow and grief, it was yesterday, it was crying tears of joy and gratitude and relief. Amazement, wonder, excitement, enchantment, hope, anticipation, and curiosity, bliss, love, and playful energy, trust, faith, strength, courage, and grace, love alive in everything, pneuma, the breath of life, numen and numinosity, a soulful life, and truth, truthfulness, beautiful, bountiful, blissful, I am, we are, she is, thou art, all that love we live to give, all that life we love to live. I am that, I am all that, I know I am this love, I know I am, I know I am. Emanations of the one eternal flame, crown, tingles, and heart expansion, the holy bride and sacred bridegroom as one together again. Freedom, power, and accountability, wisdom, innocence, and folly, playing with God, our hide-and-seek games, forgetting, dancing, and remembering. Cycle stages, phases of our great awakening, reconnection, recalibrating, spinal column and energy wheels, the center of one, the center of everything, the center of all. 0 point, nothing, within nothing. The center of one, yeah. Divine promises and sacred contracts and agreements fulfilled, being fulfilled, healing and healed, revealed. Apocalypse, revelations, celebrations, highest praises, in Yeshua Christos and Mother's name. Hail to the highest. Hallelujah. Amen. Yeah. This has felt like really freaking, like we're being so supported right now. And it's just like so like encouraged. I feel like that spiritual cheerleader like is like on my shoulder, like just encouraging me and like with that courage and yeah, encouraging me to go on and to trust and to let go and yeah, and be in this flow, in this state of grace and flow. So yeah, grateful for that. And it does relate to my tarot card reading that I did and I practiced the other day, and that was on the 19th, April 19th. And I just wanted to share just like a little bit about that, and then we can go on to the 4 survival archetypes and the stages of this transformation and these initiations that ready or not or conscious or not, we're all in. So we're all going through. We can, deny and reject that we are, but yeah, we're still going through it. Wherever we are, however we are, just as we are. Yeah, awake or asleep. Or maybe both, alternating simultaneously. Because there has been those alternating currents. Yeah, where it is like so funny in so many ways. So maybe I'll say more about that. But yes, so let me just grab my cards that are behind my phone here. So I've been doing the Celtic Cross spread, and I had chosen 10 cards for this reading. And yeah, just the way that the positions were in this reading, and just kind of learning. And so yes, So I'll just kind of go through quickly like some of these and just share a little bit, like, or a little summary. And so the question that I asked was, where do I best focus? Where to best focus my attention, and what areas to take action to align with God's will, cosmic law, and all that I want, all that I choose and need and want to contribute to, serve, and receive in service to the whole with integrity. And so what brings me the most joy and love, life, and service to the whole? Just relax into love and let go. Please show me what would serve me most to know right now for the highest good of all. And so the forces covering and influencing surrounding this situation was the world. So what I wrote down for this, and I took this, most of it from The Mystical Tarot by Rosemary Ellen Guiley. So the world, the forces covering, influencing, and surrounding. It's called the cover. That was the position. And so arrival, the journey's end. So it is a completion. The end of an era, a chapter, a journey, a path taken, a joining of all forces in the world, a wholeness or oneness. All is in balance, all is in motion. We have completed a cycle and are ready to move again, to dance the dance of life and to go in any direction that we choose. The wisdom of the ages are now ours. Change is the only constant in life. From change comes growth, and from growth we ascend to new heights. Change is the life force itself. The world is the ultimate goal for all of us, total enlightenment, to see ourselves as part of the cosmic order. We know and we see our place in the whole, experience the truth for ourselves. Yeah. An affirmation of the life process, both good and bad. It's non-judgmental. Accept both and recognize that they have a place in the grand scheme. They help us grow in equal measure, all parts of the whole, coherency, harmony, and divine resonance. And the second card was the crossing, which could be the opposing forces or the immediate obstacles in relation to the whole and the resolution, the final resolution. And this second card is judgment. The time has come for action to move forward and onto the new chapter, clearing away the old to make way for the new. We now have learned, we now have learned much. And we can apply, practice, and draw from this wisdom that's been gained through our experience. New paths are opening, we're awakening, lifting the obstacles that block our growth. So we're clearing those obstacles. So there are just a few things that we can look at to clear the old away, or to dissolve what no longer is aligned with where we're going in our true ways. We can see ourselves rising above our problems and the mundane concerns that restrict us from achieving our potential and that leave us locked within ourselves. Our real life's work is just beginning. Have faith and trust in what is and what will be. We're united with ourselves and the whole. So I thought that was pretty positive and not very, doesn't seem like it's an opposing to what we really want, but it's just maybe challenging us to go deeper. And then the foundation, this position, this third card, the foundation or basis for the question, things that have existed in the past that have become part of the present and are the reason for the question being asked. And this question was the moon. So what I wrote down about that one, the foundation. So things are not as always as they seem, and the moon. The illusion and the false constructs of reality we must be aware of, or on guard, prepared. A test. So there's a test. Not all has been revealed to us. Can we remain true to our path, or will we be distracted or pulled off course by illusions, shadows, and mysteries? We must trust our instinct, follow our hunches, create an inner light. The moon glows, but it is a reflection of the sun. So the moon is also a symbol of madness or lunacy, an uneasy time. We must tread carefully during this period. We do not know what awaits us. Have faith that we are up for the task. Our dreams, visions, knowing will guide us. We're willing to take the risks, to venture into the darkness of the unknown. And so the fourth position, the fourth card, symbolizes what has passed. And so influences on the seeker that are in the process of passing away or are already in the past. And so this card was the Lovers. So, and this card was saying the need to put things in balance with yourself or with another. The power of love in our lives, both to create and to destroy. Relationships that have fallen away or are falling away now, dissolving and breaking up. So dissolving up and breaking up those old patterns and kind of goes back into like what I kind of started or was initiated to in last June. So those themes were coming back up again with some of those relationships that have like been put on hold, paused, or withdrawn from, or let go of. So I thought that was interesting. And number 5 is what may come to pass. The force is taking shape, which may or may not manifest depending on the actions taken. And some event that might take place in the future, perhaps influencing the outcome of the question. So this is the Wheel of Fortune. So Wheel of Fortune represents change. So what may come to pass? Well, obviously, change will come to pass because change is the only constant. But we can initiate changes for ourselves and move forward. Self-assessment and accountability. New doors are always opening in our lives, and we can choose which doors to walk through. Go with the flow, and we grow. Growth and fulfillment come from living a life in tune with the cycles and rhythm of nature, of our own nature matched to Mother Nature. The past is a part of our future. What we are today comes from yesterday, and what we do tomorrow will depend on what we choose today. At the same time, we must take responsibility for whatever comes around. So what are we choosing? Number 6 is what you must face. Things that lie ahead to be dealt with, and forces that are already in motion and manifesting in the life of the seeker. And so that's the Emperor. What I must face. What you must face. The Emperor represents the different controlling forces in our lives. Father, ruler, supreme being. The Emperor can only speak for what is right according to the external rules that govern our lives in general, or the choices that we face in every given situation. He cannot punish, only warn. He is also a stabilizing influence, and he can represent the need for change or the restraining influences in our lives. So he can be saying it's time to change or it's time to use restraint. He may be telling us to turn our back on the comfortable or the known comfort zones. It's time, damn it, to strike out into unfamiliar territory so that we can experience new growth and make new rules as we learn and go along and grow. Try something new, take new actions to create something new and more true and soulful, authentic and whole. So number 7, what you feel. The emotions, including the fears and apprehensions the seeker has about self and the question and the outcome. So what I got for this one, number 7, was the Devil in reverse. Contrary. And so that one was awesome and perfect. So this meaning is in control of your fears, letting go of the bonds, like breaking free of the bondage. Yeah, you're free of your old chains. The key is not to give in or to cave in, but to plunge headlong into life's experiences with the innocence of the fool, the ambition of the chariot driver, and draw on all of our internal strength so that we can face the future with the fearlessness of the hanged man. We've learned to recognize our fears, confront them, and trust ourselves and get on with our lives. We are strong in mind, body, and spirit. Integration has taken place. Number 8 is what others think. The opinions of others, especially family, about the seeker and this situation being examined. And what I got for this one was the High Priestess. And so what I wrote down, what others think, opinions, especially family. So this is the power of unconscious forces in the world. And she seems to be saying that it doesn't really matter what others are thinking or what they believe. Trust yourself and your intuition. Still waters run deep. She signals us to seek the answers from within, to look inside ourselves, to listen, and to follow our hearts and inner knowing. The answers will come. Be patient. What we don't know now will be revealed to us later. Open to the possibilities and what we may not, or what we may have not yet considered. Life is a mystery, but it is alive with purpose. She validates our search, and she encourages us to look in earnest for the truth in our treasures, our truths, our gifts, our potential, our soul yearnings and dreams and desires. Yeah, to know ourselves, to grow ourselves, to love ourselves, to be ourselves, to honor ourselves. What you want is what the seeker hopes will come to pass, aspiration, goals, and dreams. And this is what I drew for this number 9, the Fool. The 0. So the Fool is innocence, purity of action. He doesn't look behind him. He only looks forward. He stands poised on the precipice, ready to jump and leap without hesitation, fully trusting the universe and creation to support, hold, catch, carry him forward or onward. He lives for the future. Nothing holds him to the present. Flow. Surrender, allowance, trust, and grace. His motives are pure. He seeks to discover. His quest is for life. The Fool lives to live. His possessions do not weigh him down. They are behind him. He is a liberated spirit, a believer in all things, especially in the potential life holds. His knowledge, or his source of knowledge, comes from within, from inside. He trusts his instincts, and he instinctively knows. So listen to the inner call, take the plunge, and follow your heart. And then for the resolution, where events are leading depending on what the other cards in the spread have to say. And so that's number 10 was the Tower. Number 16. So the Tower, it looks kind of, it doesn't look like a very happy resolution, does it? It looks kind of chaotic, doesn't it? But I was talking about the lightning bolt and the lightning flash the other day. And yeah, that symbol is coming up. And also like being grounded, getting grounded. And building on a supportive foundation. And yeah, there's some interesting things about the Tower like that will come into play, relate. So breaking free from illusions, knocking down the walls that imprison us. It's not a subtle change, but a major transformation. We are ready to welcome some light into our lives, even if it is furious or descends upon us with the fury of a lightning bolt. The process of transformation itself. This is like that's what it is. Like the Tower is transformation. It's not the steps leading up to it. It's actual the transformation. So change is happening. A new door has opened and we are going through it. You're ready to break free. Inspiration, breakthroughs, sudden spiritual insights or enlightenment, awakening and remembering. Knowledge that comes to us through us from deep within and opens our eyes to the wonders and mysteries of the world. Surrender the outcome. Show up, make best efforts, follow through and listen. The best is yet to come. It's a time to harvest, prepare, enjoy, and celebrate all the love you are, we are, I am, and thou art. Trust, innocence, receptivity, inspiration, and enchantment, opportunities to play and engage, experience life and her infinite great possibilities. wonderful miracles and mysteries, curiosity, a willingness to change, unself-consciousness, and breaking free. Expect the unexpected. The bonus card was the Knight of Wands, a time of movement and journey. You are on your way to meet something, or it is coming into your life. Things are in a state of transition, a stirring or turbulence in the air, tension. So take the plunge and fly. So this is a time of the great awakening and the completion of a grand cycle. We're transitioning into a new dawn, a new age, a new way of operating superconsciously. A time of ascension and bifurcation, a period of transition, the in-between. All moving, all is in motion, it is as it is meant to be. We are creating as we go now, a new relationship with time. New cycles of growth, new life, new love through life. New light, all right. All is right, all is bright, all is life. All God's light, united, recognize. Whole, complete, all one. A new time to recognize, take actions, and put into practice all that we've learned. Trust yourself, trust the universe, trust the divine, trust life. Life is on your side. Let go and embrace the unknown. Follow your heart and answer the call. Answer the call of your soul. Yeah. Listen to the whisperings of your soul, your heart and soul. Let go and embrace the unknown. Follow your heart and answer the call. Aligning and integrating all parts of the whole, or all parts of the all. Alchemy and individuation, a separation and a reunification, reunion, to come into balance and create harmony. Yeah, through multiplicity. New doors are opening, changes are rapidly happening, the quickening. Take accountability and own your power to create, destroy, endure, and sustain. New changes and new ways of relating, operating, playing, being in the world. More conscious personal power, responsibility, participation, and the freedom to be. Stretch comfort zones, embrace the new, true story of being one love right here. We have confronted our fears, we are strong, and we are supported right here. Trust yourself and all the love you hold dear. Be patient, have faith, all will be revealed. It's time to fly and break through. Yeah. So follow your dreams, fool. Let go and trust in life. Yeah. So I super appreciated, all those messages and just how, they all are right. And yeah, it's just a willingness to receive and to let my love guide me and show me. Yeah. Just be right here and be with me right here. Being present, being here. And so, yeah, that's pretty fun. So where do we go from there? So like the transition and all, talking about change, transition, and transformation and completion and new beginnings. So it's the life cycle. It's like all of it. It's the whole journey. It's not the destination. Yeah. It's being where we are as we are. Here we are. Yeah. So there are some questions, and so this is a time of fertility and of forming and reformation, restoration. And so I was just noticing like the support, growth, transformation, and reclamation, like these fertility themes. So let's look at the energy. So what is supportive and what is draining? So what is this, like how we direct or focus our energy? Like can we see into what is supportive or what drains our energy? So is it energizing, restorative, or depleting? Like certain relationships or certain patterns that we have or certain choices that we make. Are our habits, choices, and ways of operating, or like the programs that we're running on unconsciously, are they disempowering or empowering? Like, do they support us or do they take away from us? Yeah. Is there a leak of some kind Um, yeah, or what is under construction, you know, like where can we seal up those energy leaks so that we have more to sustain and endure, like, and create with and influence, more personal power to influence, yeah, what we want to create, to choose what we want to create, to contribute to what we want to create, to what we want to see, to who we want to be. So, how do we care for ourselves and honor our own energy and direct our power in the world? Where can we challenge ourselves? Where can we allow ourselves? Where can we value ourselves? Where can we own and be accountable for ourselves? And so I just want to go into the survival archetypes too. So some of these unconscious ways of operating, like sometimes are autopilot, and sometimes we're aware of them, but we feel justified in certain ways, like by keeping certain patterns going because we're comfortable. It's the comfort zone or the monster that we know. And so, yeah, it's just kind of interesting that way. And I just wanted to go into this book, Sacred Contracts by Caroline Myss. And I shared a little bit about the archetype of the prostitute, or the prostitute, who is a survival archetype. And I call her the whore because I just always have, and I just love that word. I made friends with that word a long time ago. So, yeah, and there are light and shadow aspects of these archetypes. Like, just because, yeah, we call the victim doesn't mean that the victim is only one thing. The victim is actually the guardian of self-esteem. So I thought that was pretty cool, where the victim can show us like where we can claim and own our own power and where we may have been giving it away. And like the only, yeah, in certain ways I couldn't really identify like where the victim was coming up in my own stories until I saw it on the outside of me. And so some of my relationships where the other person was playing at being the victim, and then I could see like where I was playing at being my own victim as well. And then too, like if ever I catch myself like blaming someone else or something else, then I can bring it back to me and say, oh, there's the victim. Like, yeah, where can I take my accountability? And so I just want to share a little bit about the victim. And then there's like freaking something amazing like that I read the other day when I was going into the archetype of the whore and the Wizard of Oz, and it was just amazing. But yeah, so I want to like share that as well. So the victim, the guardian of self-esteem. Being a victim is a common fear. The victim archetype may manifest the first time you don't get what you want or you need. If you're abused by a parent, a playmate, sibling, or teacher, or are accused of or punished for something that you didn't do. You may suppress your outrage at the injustice if the victimizer is bigger and more powerful than you. But at a certain point, you discover a perverse advantage to being the victim. You may be afraid to stand up for yourself, or you may enjoy getting sympathy. Like trauma bonding. The core issue, and oh yeah, you're so virtuous, like because of your suffering too. There's the virtuous victim and the entitled victim. Oh, because you have suffered, you are worthy, kind of a thing. And I've noticed like those things in the last year, like coming up to help me get clear. So, to clear those distortions. So, the core issue of the victim is whether it's worth giving up your own sense of empowerment to avoid taking responsibility for your independence. Do I need to say it slower? The core issue of the victim is whether it's worth giving up your own sense of empowerment to avoid taking responsibility for your independence. Codependent and the narcissist at play, like in so many ways. Like that's what was coming up in June last year. So many people in my workshops have described their victim as the most vulnerable aspect. I felt that I was being set up to be a victim, said Tim, because I was taught never to fight back, but to avoid conflict. Yes, avoiding that which makes us uncomfortable. Avoiding conflict is certainly the wiser path, but only when you know you can stand up for yourself if you need to. Otherwise, you are running away, and I have always felt that I was running away from something or someone. One time when I was shopping, the salesperson gave me the wrong change, and I had given her a $50 bill, but she handed me change for a 20. Yet I stood there saying nothing, and I told myself that I didn't want to embarrass her, so I walked out of the store. And as soon as I made it to the street, I almost exploded in anger at myself. Once again, I had allowed myself to be victimized. Yeah. That's kind of like, yeah, doormat. Like, yeah, anyways. So I saw it happen and I just stood by and I allowed myself to get ripped off. And to make the situation worse, even when I told myself to go back in there and get the right change, I managed to talk myself out of it, saying that they would never believe my story of the invisible $50 bill. So eventually Tim realized that he had to confront this victim energy because the quality of his life depended on it. I knew that as long as I could not or did not protect myself, I would always feel like a victim of something or other. And even if I were not being victimized, there would come a time when I would no longer be able to tell the difference. I made a commitment to myself to act in behalf of my own well-being, no matter how uncomfortable it made those around me. I soon learned that every action one takes after making a choice to protect oneself is a major action. One time when I was at work, a guy asked me if I would run his errands for him. I had always said yes to him in the past, but this time I said no, and both of us stood looking at each other. I had shocked him as much as I'd surprised myself. I told him that I was not responsible for seeing that his work got done, and a few weeks later I noticed him as he was walking toward me down the hall. He got a smirk on his face and he commented, "Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to do my job." And so the moment he said that, all I could feel was respect for myself, and I knew from that point on that I could protect myself, not only because I could respond honestly, but also because I could live with the consequences of my honesty. The victim archetype had come full circle within Tim's psyche, from being a symbol of weakness to being a reminder of his own strength. When he thinks of the victim now, he does not think in powerless terms, but measures what he will or will not do so that he never again feels taken advantage of. As Tim puts it, the victim archetype is the guardian of my personal boundaries. Before that, what I recognized as personal boundaries were more like self-inflicted prison walls. It's amazing how your world changes when you feel that you can take care of yourself. So the lessons associated with the victim archetype demand that you evaluate your relationship to power, particularly in your interactions with people with whom you have control issues and need to construct personal boundaries. The primary objective of the victim archetype is to develop self-esteem and personal power. When you are in a situation in which you feel threatened or you suspect that you lack the appropriate social, professional, or personal power, take notice of that reaction physically, emotionally, and mentally. That is the intuitive voice of your inner victim. To help direct your responses to all of your experiences and relationships, say, "I am committed to my own empowerment. What choice can I make here that will serve my own empowerment?" Name the problem or the threat that you need to overcome and the power that you need to possess in order to do so. Keep your eye on the truth that everything and everyone in your life is there by contract to assist in your spiritual maturation. You have contracts with people who are directly connected to the victim archetype. Their primary role is to help you develop your self-esteem through acts of honesty, integrity, courage, endurance, and self-respect. Those people whose contracts are linked to empowering your victim will play or have played the leading roles in awakening in you an awareness of the value of these spiritual qualities and how essential they are to your well-being. Amen. And so it is. So that's interesting about the victim. So the 4 survival archetypes: the victim, the whore, the saboteur, and the child. So if the victim is the guardian for self-esteem, and the whore or the prostitute is the guardian of faith, and then the child is the archetype or the guardian of innocence, and the saboteur is the guardian of, of choice. That we always have a motherfucking choice. And we always have several choices we can make. Yeah, and if we don't see more than one choice, let's ask to be shown what our choices are, or ask for more choices if we don't like what we're shown. Yeah, it's that simple. And it really is. Mm-hmm. If we're willing to empower and care for ourselves. So the saboteur, the guardian of choice. Like the prostitute and the victim, the saboteur archetype is a neutral energy within you that usually makes itself known through disruption. It can sabotage your efforts to be happy and successful if you're not aware of the patterns of thought and behavior that it raises in you. It can cause you to resist opportunities. The saboteur is the mirror that reflects your fears of taking responsibility for yourself and for what you create. The saboteur archetype may be the one most intimately connected to your ability to survive in the physical world. Fears of being without the basic needs in life, from food to home to a social and personal network, often provide this archetype with the power to haunt you. You can silence the saboteur with acts of courage and by following your intuition. It serves you brilliantly as a gut instinct that directs you to take action based on hunches rather than on irrational thought. To learn to experience that voice, you must respond to it. Only through response can you manifest the courage to expand your creative environment. Start with small choices, which may be life-transforming acts of will disguised as harmless impulses. The core issue for the saboteur is fear of inviting change into your life. Change that requires responding in a positive way to opportunities to shape and deepen your spirit. Yet it is impossible to stop the process of change. Deep in your tissue, you know that having power and using it necessitates change. And although many people want to have it all, they don't want to be all. All choices you make do not have the same potential to transform the environment of your life. The decision to meet a group of friends for dinner, as a rule, does not change your life as dramatically as the decision to get married or start a business or move to Europe. The choice to respond to an inner voice that directs you to pursue your spiritual life is obviously one that can rearrange your familiar world. I am a great one to sabotage my self-esteem, Aaron said. Instead of saying thank you to someone who pays me a compliment, I deflect the kind words being offered. I am forever discounting my talents. But this self-sabotage is the worst in my partnership. I have a wonderful partner, and when he tells me that he loves me or he thinks I'm lovely, I tell him he's crazy. That's about as close as you can come to behavior that is directly trying to sabotage a relationship. He has challenged me on several occasions, asking me why I don't believe him when he tells me how he feels. I told him that I feel I am giving him a break, kind of like telling him he doesn't have to do anything, to do any acting to make me feel good. It's a lethal pattern that came right out of my shadow saboteur. Now I am practicing to be conscious of when I'm shortchanging myself, and I compliment myself all the time. It sounds like a game, but I'm not playing at all. I feel like that the saboteur is now my chess partner, sitting right across the table from me. Every move I make, I look across the table to study the response. I am determined not to stand in the way of all that my life can be with my partner. Our life together is part of my highest potential, which means having the experience of wife and mother with someone I truly adore. And so, yeah, the archetype of the saboteur, the survival archetype, the guardian of choice. So thank you, yeah, to those guardians that can help us see like where we're kind of using our own power to go against ourselves or to keep ourselves in our comfort zones or stuck or playing small, because there's some kind of a payoff instead, of actually growing and becoming who we are, who we need to be for ourselves, So it's interesting that way. And so I wanted to share just a little bit more about like the shadow, living in the shadow. Although our archetypal patterns are essentially neutral, they do have both light and shadow aspects. The word shadow itself suggests a dark, secretive, possibly malevolent countenance that looms in the background of our nature, ready to do harm to others as well as to ourselves. A much more appropriate understanding of the shadow aspects of our archetypes, however, is that they represent the part of our being that is least familiar to our conscious mind. Whether the shadow becomes our friend or enemy depends largely upon ourselves, wrote Marie Louise van Franz, Jung's closest colleague and confidant. The shadow is not necessarily always an opponent. In fact, it is exactly like any human being with whom one has to get along, sometimes by giving in, sometimes by resisting, and sometimes by giving love, whatever the situation requires. The shadow becomes hostile only when it is ignored or misunderstood. The queen is among my own personal family of archetypes, for example, and it serves me quite well when I'm teaching a workshop. I have to be certain that everything I need is there so that I can work at my peak, and I'm ready when I need it. When my travel accommodations from my travel accommodations to the whiteboard I ride on, even a cup of tea with honey to soothe my throat from all the talking. My queen makes darn sure everything is just as it's supposed to be, or heads will roll. But at other times when I least expect it, my shadow queen can make an appearance and start demanding things in an inappropriate way. Often I'm not aware of my queen's agenda until after she's come and gone. It remains in the shadow until I take a good look at whatever damage it may have done. I'll never forget the time I blew up at a couple of airline ticket agents because my flight had been delayed and I felt they weren't being straight with us passengers. As I stormed off in disgust, a young couple who had been waiting in line behind me caught my eye and came over. I thought they were going to thank me for speaking out, but instead the man said, "We just wanted to tell you how much we love your workshops." And yes, the woman said, "We have all your books and tapes." And I wanted to tell them that they'd just seen a textbook example of the Shadow Queen in action, but I was too humiliated to say anything. I just thanked them and kept on walking. It was about what I deserved for attacking a couple of airline employees who were probably just doing their jobs. The shadow aspects of our archetypes are fed by our paradoxical relationship to power. We are as intimidated by being empowered as we are by being disempowered. That disempowerment is a threat to our well-being is easy to understand, at least at the surface level. But why should we also fear becoming empowered? That, in essence, is the paradox that feeds the shadow. The shadow can be seen as unexplored power. It expresses itself through behavior that often sabotages our express wishes and images of ourselves. These complex aspects of our personalities filter into our behavior by outwitting our conscious minds, after which they often assume a dominant role. We frequently don't know why we do the things we do or why we have to cope with inexplicable fears. This leads to painful conflict when we feel one way and act another, separating mind and heart. Living with mind and heart divided is like having two battle encampments within, each one fighting for authority over our power of choice. When isolated from each other, the heart and the mind are each handicapped. The mind tends to become hyper-irrational and the heart overly emotional. This imbalance of forces fragments our power, and like a nation in which opposing forces are constantly at war with each other, when our nature is fragmented, it is vulnerable to being dominated by fear. As Jesus said, if a kingdom is divided against itself, it cannot stand. Mark 3:24. Even when we know we are acting fearfully, we sometimes choose to be willfully ignorant about it. If I don't know why I'm acting in a negative fashion, then it is easier to excuse my behavior or blame someone else. But if I am aware, both emotionally and intellectually, that I am harming another being, I not only have to hold myself accountable, I must also admit that I consciously chose to be negative. I can no longer hide behind the state of confusion created by the split between heart and mind. As long as your mind and heart lack a channel of clear communication, you will be confused about what to do with your life. Inevitably, as soon as you make contact with your life's passion, which can mean finding your vocation, your life partner, or even your sexual identity, you are going to experience a kind of spiritual suffering until you act on that passion. That suffering is actually a form of divine motivation urging you to pursue a more authentic life. Awareness of a greater truth adds time pressure to your psyche and spirit, because the more you know, the faster you need to respond to that truth. I call this spiritual accountability. If you realize that negative judgments, including judging yourself, cause harm, then you must reevaluate your behavior as soon as you realize that you are being judgmental. You also need to recognize when you are justifying yourself and your actions. Judging others and creating excuses while knowing better are only two of the spiritual challenges that will arise as you work with survival archetypes. The more aware you are of the demands of managing your consciousness, the fewer